Warzone Jones, and this is my top 10 WWE Divas of all time video. And remember, this is just my top 10 of what I think of the people who I think should be in this top 10. Remember, this is just all my opinion, so please don't try to tell me, hey, you asshole, just because you don't think, well, this person should be in this spot or they shouldn't be in this list altogether. This is just my list. So, let's get started. First, we're going to start off number 10, then we're going to go down. Now, number 10, I got the Fabulous Moolah. Now, even though I didn't grow up necessarily watching the Fabulous Moolah in her prime, but, I saw the Fabulous Moolah in, mostly during the Attitude Era when she was an old woman, about 60 years old, or however old she was. But, I put her on this list, not only as a tribute to her, because, she has passed on, but the Fabulous Moolah, according to WWE, they said she had a 10-year title run. Literally, she had a 10-year title run. 10 years. That's unheard of in professional wrestling. Now, you might get a 10-year title run in real combat sports such as like boxing. That's common in boxing, but in professional wrestling, a 10-year title run, that's crazy. And on top of that, she's a Hall of Famer, so she well deserves to be in this list. But I mostly grew up watching Fabulous Moolah in the Attitude Era. She done various skits backstage with Vince McMahon or a couple of more other wrestlers. And it amazed me at her age, she was taking bumps. Like, I remember she got beat up by a 3-minute warning, and they literally would jump off the top rope. And you remember how heavy Rosie and Jamal was, Umaga. If you remember how heavy these guys would literally jump off the rope and frog splash this lady at her age, and I gotta respect her for that, and for her long title run, and the fact that she's a Hall of Famer. She's a legend, so I had to put her on this list at number 10. But moving on, the next one is Miss Elizabeth. Now, Miss Elizabeth was probably, I think they put a DVD out on her, but they call her the First Lady. Now, her time was mostly, I would say, through the 90s in the WWE, and then in WCW, during the closing of WCW. Now, Miss Elizabeth, she was probably the greatest escort diva of all time, period. She's probably the greatest escort diva of all time. She has sadly passed on too, and she was in WWE, she was in WCW. She wasn't a wrestler. That's one thing, she knew she wasn't a wrestler. She didn't wrestle. I don't know, maybe she had a match or maybe or two, but she wasn't a wrestler. She knew she wasn't a wrestler, and that's why she kept her ass out of the wrestling ring when it comes to wrestling. She wasn't a wrestler. She knew it. That's a lot of these WWE divas now. They need to know, hey, you're not a wrestler. Don't wrestle. So she didn't wrestle. So at least she knew that. I respect Miss Elizabeth. I grew up watching Miss Elizabeth too. And she greatest WWE escort diva of all time, in my opinion. Escort diva of all time, in my opinion. I'll gladly get her that. So rest in peace, Miss Elizabeth. Moving on to the first WWE diva who I fell in love with, Sunny. Tammy Lunch Stitch. I think I said her real name right. Her real name was like Tammy Lunch Stitch or Tammy Lunch Stitch, one of them. Sunny was the first WWE diva I ever fell in love with. She came back to wrestle at a WrestleMania match. I think at a couple of WrestleManias ago, either 2 WrestleManias ago or 1 WrestleMania ago, either 2 or 1 year ago. She came back, she wrestled, in this Divas Battle Royal match, that Battle Royal where when Santino was dressed as a woman. And, she's had a pretty good career in the WWE too. She was in WCW, she was in ECW, I believe she was in WCW, but I mostly saw her in the WWE, and I was in love with this girl. She was the girl who they first offered a Playboy, shoe with. They offered her the Playboy shoe first before they offered any other WWE or diva, in the WWE. She was the first, but she turned it down. I can't remember the reason why she turned it down, but she said she turned it down. She's been in the business since she was like 17, and she was sort of an escort diva too. She modeled, she managed Farouk one time, but she's definitely, in my opinion, one of the greatest divas of all time. Period. Like, helped set the bar. But moving on to the next WWE diva, Playboy model, Sable. She sort of had, to me, like a Pam Anderson look. She had a Pam Anderson look. She was fine. She was gorgeous. She was beautiful. Everybody wanted to be with Sable. I mean, I don't care who you were. Sable was, when you heard that this girl was going to be in Playboy naked, titties out, everything out. You wanted to see that Playboy, cover shoot. You wanted to see that magazine. And, you probably see that magazine, like, on the internet now. But Sable, she had a fallout with the company at one point. As fine as she was, she had a fallout with the company. Apparently, somebody sexually harassed her. I don't know if that's true or not. But she probably just wasn't happy with her contract situation. But she was a women's wrestler. She wasn't a great women's wrestler or anything like that, but she was an okay, I would say, women's wrestler. She wasn't necessarily great, but I guess she was, matter of fact, you probably wouldn't even necessarily say she was okay. But she was the women's champion. I think she won it by around one time. But other than that, Sable, to me, is one of the greatest divas of all time, period. Not just because of her wrestling, but just because, just her look and her popularity, and she just achieved a lot, period. But moving on. Next one, China, the ninth wonder of the world. Now, I remember at one point when you saw China, you're thinking, oh, God, that was a man. A lot of people was calling China a man, but when China changed her look, all of a sudden, everybody wanted to have sex with her all of a sudden. She was in Playboy cover shoots. China was the Intercontinental Champion. She was the first woman to be in the Royal Rumble. She wrestled men. She wrestled the top tier talent. She had good wrestling matches. She was a pretty good wrestler. She wrestled Chris Jericho, Kurt Angle, Eddie Guerrero. I think she wrestled The Rock. She wrestled Triple H. She was with Triple H. She had a relationship with Triple H. And after a while they broke up. Then Triple H got with Stephanie McMahon, and then Stephanie McMahon and Triple H, they went at it. I mean, Stephanie McMahon and China, they went at it. And apparently, that's one of the reasons why she's gone to WWE, why she left. She said things like Stephanie McMahon was a bitch, that she was spoiled, which is probably true. I'm pretty sure she was spoiled. Hey, her daddy's rich. But China was a draw, in my opinion. When I think about China, her popularity was she was just a really popular wrestler, period. She was just a really popular character. China, Join the Law is her name now. But China is definitely one of the greatest of all time, in my opinion. Moving on to Melina. Melina, unfortunately, is out with an injury, but Melina is one of the girls that is carrying the WWE Divas today. Now, she was on Tough Enough. She had got cut. She wasn't on that show long. She was on Tough Enough. I think she got cut within either 1 or 2 episodes. But she got cut from Tough Enough, but eventually she came back. She came back in the WWE. She was Melina. She was with John Morrison. She was even with Batista. She's not with those guys now, but she is clearly successful. She is one of the best women wrestlers in the world, and to me, one of the best WWE divas in the world, bottom line. But, so, hopefully Melina can come back to the WWE division, women's division can use her. Moving on, Victoria. Victoria, she was one of the best WWE divas of all time, too, in my opinion. Her last couple of matches in the WWE, she basically was a jobber, basically because she was leaving. She was jobbing out to all these divas. She was even a trainer to them. They underrated her, her looks and her beauty. They just underrated her looks and her beauty. She was a former women's champion. She's in TNA now. She's not having necessarily a great run in TNA, but her run is okay in TNA, at least in my opinion. So she's having an okay run, but she's about to leave TNA because apparently they're not giving her the money that she wants. So she's taking her lead, but she don't need necessarily 2 wrestlers to make money anyway. But Victoria, in my opinion, one of the greatest WWE divas of all time. Remember, in my opinion. Moving on, Mickie James. Mickie James, unfortunately for Mickie James, she got released. Mickie James got released, unfortunately for Mickie James. I said it before. That woman has been carrying that division since Lita and Trish left. In my opinion, she's been carrying that division since Lita and Trish left. And they just been treating her like crap her last couple of months in the WWE. And in the WWE, and even though when they were treating her like crap, she was still carrying the division. So, Mickie James, one of the greatest of all time, in my opinion. I don't care what anybody say. One of the greatest champions of all time. Lita, like I can say about Lita, she just helped take the women's division to that next level, period. Lita, she's one of the greatest of all time. She was a high flyer. That's what made her different. She was a high flyer. The rest of the women, You know, I guess they wrestled more of a match style, or they was just sloppy. But Lita was a high flyer. She did Hurricane Runners. She did moonsaults. That's what made her different. So she was like the first woman wrestler, at least that I thought, that was a high flyer. She was a redhead too. She was fine. She was gorgeous. She was gorgeous. And I miss Lita. So, but moving on, 'cause I ain't got much time. Let's talk about the #1 diva. In my opinion, Trish Stratus. Trish Stratus, gorgeous. Fine. When I first saw Trish Stratus, I grew. But when I tell all these girls, I grew. But Trish Stratus, one of the greatest WWE divas of all time, period. You care what nobody say. Trish Stratus was that fine. She wasn't great working when she first got started, but after a while, she became great. But that's the end of this video. This is Warzone Jones. Subscribe to my channel. I'm out.